Hello everybody, I'm going to show you how to cut some cardstock for a technique known as the Scrappy strip technique. These pieces are just pieces I grabbed from my table from other projects, very old DSP, little scraps of cardstock, and I cut them down to no more than 6 inches so I could use this little trimmer because I really like it. This is the one people who decided to be demonstrators got during celebration. Okay, so we need strips that are of unequal, like slanted. So if you can see here, I'm putting that in crooked and then chopping it and getting a strip like that. Then I'm going to take it and slant it the other direction. They don't have to be the same size. And basically what I have here is basically a straight strip and 2 slanted strips. I'm going to do the same thing with the DSP. Well, second thought, I'm not. I'm going to show you that you can also do this with a regular trimmer. I'm going to stick this in there. Normally when we slice paper, we line it up on a grid mark so it's straight, but we actually don't want it straight this time, so I'm lining it up not straight. Take my cutting blade. Okay, and you can see that that doesn't want to do that. Sometimes when you cut paper on here, if you start in the middle and then go back and forth, otherwise sometimes it will tear up the edge. Now these strips are longer than I really need them. I'm going to do another one right here. And since I had trouble before, I'm going to start in the center and go back and forward. And we have another straight strip. And I guess the strips I have here are so narrow, if you had a larger piece, you could just keep going. But I'm going to do another one. And again, start in the middle and then slice. And, I'm going to leave that one flat. Well, maybe not. It's a little too big. I'll leave it fat is what I meant to say. But we'll do that. So then what we're going to do is try to line them up so that makes a pleasing pattern. I ended up layering these on black cardstock when I made them into a card. Here is the finished card that I created from those strips. I found some die cuts that I had laid around, stamped a sentiment on, added a little die cut embellishment and a few gems. Then I took the strip we cut off when we were making the strips, and there's the card. For this card, I made a card base that was 8.5 by 11, scored it at 4 1/4. Then I took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock and cut off 5 inches. After cutting off the 5 inches, I was working with that piece that was 5 by 8.5, and I cut off 3 3/4 inches and that is going to make the basic card layer. Now this cardstock for the card I'm going to make is white. On the previous card I used black. After cutting that 3 3/4 piece off, you end up with a piece that is 5 by 4 3/4, and that is the piece that we're going to paste the strips on. It is, you probably need to measure this. We need to start putting the strips on along the 5-inch side is where the strips are vertical, and then we're going to cut off, when we're done, 3.5 inches, and it'll leave some strips that we can use on the inside. The first strip was put down so that it was right at the edge of this piece with no white showing. And then thereafter, the pieces were put down, alternating the skinny and the thick ends. And they were put down then with just a tiny bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch of white space in between. After getting all your strips down, you can take it off of the silicone mat and cut the extra off the edges. And then you'll end up with that 5-inch by 4 3/4 inch piece. Cut off 3.5 inches, and this will be used for like a full card front, and it'll give you 1.5 inch strip to use either on the inside or on another card. Layer this piece on your 5-inch by 3 3/4 inch white layer that we cut in the beginning, and since this layer is slightly bigger than the stripes, you have a nice border around the edge. Here I am using that 1.5 inch piece that we cut off to create another card. On the very first one we did, I cut it in half and used half on the inside of the card. Embellish the cards however you like, and have fun trying this technique.